Hi, it's Chris and Susan Beesley here with Living the Retirement Lifestyle, our podcast and webcast, where we invite some of our great friends and entrepreneurs from all over the world to share their knowledge and experience with us and all of you and help you through your retirement to create a business, an income stream, or just to help do something that you want to do in your retirement that you've never thought of before. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to our special guest today, who is Mr. Charlie Page. Welcome, Charlie.
Thank you very much. It's good to see you both. And it's been a long road with both of us together for a long time, and it's my honor to be here.
But we've never met, have we?
No, not met.
We have not. This is the first time. I watch your Facebook Lives, and I have this excellent book. But this is the first time we've actually ever spoken, which I think one of the things that's coming out of the current difficulty is that people are connecting more, and that's a beautiful thing.
It is, and that's what I love. That's what you put on the bottom of every one of your emails. That's a beautiful thing. And I've been inspired, well, we've been inspired to make sure that we write to each of our subscribers as if they were a person, because they are. They do have a heart and a soul. They have a problem, and they have a problem that needs solving. And if you write in the right way and you share information with them in the right way, there is no better way to do that. So how did you get started into this online world then, Charlie?
Through disaster. I was 45 years old and owned a direct mail marketing company. And we were doing quite well. We were working with banks that were financing cars. We'd send 1 million pieces of postal mail out a month to a very specific demographic, and I was doing all the computer work. And that business went away because I got sick, and I developed COPD as an adult.
Wow.
And that's usually fatal, which thank God it wasn't, but it wasn't easy. And I had to work from home. And back then, this is going back 20 years ago, we didn't have broadband. We didn't have, Facebook didn't exist, I don't think. Google barely existed. So it was a completely different world. And I had to get my name in front of people if I could possibly do that. So one day I found this site called Directory of E-Zines. And the lady who owned the site had gathered up a bunch of information about online newsletters delivered via email, which is an e-zine. And she had contact information, advertising information, and all that type of thing. Well, I couldn't afford to advertise. There was no world in which I could afford to advertise. And my wife was gone with the kids, and I decided to buy this membership for $39.95. And when she got back, I said, "Hey, I bought something." And she said, "Okay." And I said, and I explained to her what it is. And now, we've been married 45 years, so, we're as devoted to each other as it gets.
Congratulations.
Thank you. She was 17 and I was 19 when we got married. We were just in love with each other. So, not in a critical way, she said, "We need that money to pay bills." And I said, "Yeah, I know." And I said, "I promise I'm going to make this work." You know how husbands do that?
Yeah.
So I went into the Directory of E-Zines and I got my hands on every publisher's contact information I could, and I emailed them and I offered to write articles for them for free if they would just run my article in their e-zine, and I could put some contact information. Long story short, within about 2 months, I was in front of about 2 million people a month with my writing. Wow. And apparently it was good enough that we got requests. I started selling copywriting. The lady who owned the directory contacted me and said, "I'd like to get some advice from you because I see what you're doing." I said, "Sure, no problem." Ended up consulting with her and building, creating an e-zine for her and helping her email marketing. In the next year, we tripled her sales. And at the end of the year, she called me and she said, "I want out. I'm tired of working. And would you buy the company?" And I said, "Yeah, I would." And so a little less than 18 months after spending the $39.95, I bought the company. And that's how I got started online.
Wow. And so how did we find you? Well, when we came online, our mentor was teaching us to place ads because obviously if you don't do marketing, you don't grow a list and you can't sell any products or services. Despite what everybody says, they don't get that. But he said to us, you need to get this thing called the Directory of E-Signs. And he said, and then when you get it, you've got to learn how to place little banner ads on these e-signs, these emails, and it's a little bit of advertising copy. And that is how you're going to build your business. So it was a bit of a shock to us because we'd never heard of anything like that. But needless to say, we had a mentor and we followed his guidance, and it's what we did. And we've stayed in touch with you ever since. We've bought numerous products of yours because they are absolutely amazing. I will let our tribe know where they can find you at the end of this. But seriously, you have a brand called Common Sense, and this is what I love about all of your products and your coaching. Just everything is in that brand of Common Sense. And it might not seem it to someone new on the internet, but it definitely is something that will work for anyone if they follow it. And I guess our question for you today is, bearing in mind we're none of us what we call spring chickens, we're all in our later life stages, our later chapters of life.
We discovered that we're still the eldest internet masters on the
having talked to Charlie before we came live, Chris by 1 year is the elder, and I'm 1 year younger, so Charlie's in the middle. So we're very happily working in an older chapter of life. And so many people fear that they can't start a business at that age, and we believe they truly can. What are your thoughts on that with the people that you coach, Charlie?
Oh, absolutely. As a matter of fact, what I tell people is that you have now advantages that I did not have 20 years ago. There are tremendous advantages now. Let's think about it for just a second. In the olden days, if you wanted to publish information on the internet, you had to build an HTML site. That meant getting Dreamweaver or something like that.
I did that.
Yeah, there you go. I remember when a program called Excite Pro came
That's what I used. Excite Pro.
I did too. And the guy who started Excite Pro, I helped him start his business, and he was actually my graphic designer for a while. And it was a great product. It saved so much time over Dreamweaver. But today, what do? Well, you get ClickFunnels, or software as a service like ClickFunnels, or you use a blog with a really good page builder, like Thrive is what I use. Yeah. Divi is very good. They're just, you literally can get started for free. In the old days with autoresponders, we had to type in our messages and space them out to 65 characters wide because it would wrap, right? The old email program would break the line at 65 characters. So we had to literally put in a hard return at the end of every line. Today, you can write that up in Word, Google Docs, anything you prefer, just copy and paste. So I believe today's the best possible time for someone with the wisdom of years to get involved with doing business online because the technology is no longer a barrier to entry.
No, that's absolutely right. Because, I mean, when we started, blogging didn't exist.
No.
You had to write an article and then upload it. What was it?
Put it on an article site like...
Design
articles, or I mean, we wrote.
See if you could get a link on the bottom.
It's incredible. We don't know how lucky we are, really, and that technology should never be a barrier, realistically, now to building a business online.
Not at all. No, it's so much easier now than it ever has been.
Yeah.
So, have you got any thoughts on people starting? I mean, in this unfortunate environment, there's a lot of people who have time on their hands and they start to look at, well, I've always wanted to do this thing online, but how do I get started? Now, obviously there are a lot of good programs out there. Equally, there are probably 10 times many bad programs out there. So, I mean, this morning, you wrote one of your emails, and we see your emails every day. And it was just about how people could simply make a sale using Facebook. So, I mean, to me, I read that and I thought, wow, that's so simple. Yeah. Anybody should be able to do that.
Because you have the ability to write. I mean, you're an amazing copywriter, I have to say that. But you have this ability to connect with people and make things simple. So maybe you could run through that because it's specifically around knowledge. And let's face it, we all have knowledge of some kind, don't we?
Absolutely. And people almost universally, regardless of their age, but especially with a demographic who's, been around the planet a couple times, people tend to diminish their knowledge, their own knowledge, and they tend to elevate other people's knowledge. So you say I'm a great copywriter, and I thank you for that. I appreciate that very much. I'm a high school graduate, never been to college a day in my life. I wouldn't know a dangling participle if it walked in my room, I don't know what these things mean. Now, my youngest daughter has a degree in English. And so, she gleefully corrects me from time to time. And that's cool. That's no problem. But communicating with people is different than being able to write, perfectly. And that same concept that I just gave you transfers over to real life skills. So let me give you a couple of examples. I often say to a person, can you drive a car? And everybody drives a car, right? Almost everybody. Well, what kind of driver were you when you first got behind the wheel? Dangerous, scared, tentative, inexperienced, unsure of themselves, maybe too sure of themselves, depending upon who they are. But here's my point. Driving is a skill. It's a skill where you have to use observation. It's a skill where you have to take that observation and use it to change directions. You have to be aware of the environment around you, and you have to be able to get to your destination. That describes business right there. So can you drive a car? You have what it takes to do something in the information business space. Not about driving cars, but those skills transfer over. So let's now find out. Let's dig in and find out what you can do. So I had a woman say to me one time that, she was a really good grandmother. Okay, so that's cool. Let's do that. Let's talk to other grandmothers. First-time grandmothers are joyful and also afraid, right? Because we transfer our fears to our children. It's not that, first-time moms are like, I'm going to drop the baby. And when I drop the baby, my life is over. Well, that fear goes away after a short period of time. First-time grandmothers are not at all afraid they're going to drop the baby, but they are quite afraid of what their daughter or son might do in parenting. Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I'm not a grandfather, so I'm speaking from a place of observation less than experience. But regardless, I think it's a valid observation. And so, you get the first thing to do is say to yourself, how can I help another person? If there's a way that you can help another person go from where they are now to where they want to be, just one step at a time, then you've got what it takes to actually sell information online. So the first step is to determine what is it you can do that'll help a person, right? Right now, we're in the middle of a pandemic. So what's going on? Tons of people are homeschooling their children. They have no experience about how to do that. People are having difficulty, and sometimes it's an improvement in their relationship to spend so much time with their significant other, and sometimes it's a challenge. So there's that. People have no idea what's going on financially, so their savings maybe are decimated, and they're not sure of how they're going to be able to plan for the future. What do they do next? And the job market is being disrupted.
Yeah.
So people are looking at working at home. Well, I've been working at home for 35 years, so I'm pretty familiar with the technology, the tools, and the methods. That, one of the best articles I ever wrote, and by best I mean one of the most popular articles I ever wrote, is how to stay focused when working at home.
Mm-hmm.
People don't know how to do that. So there are a few examples right there of places where an information product properly placed will do wonderfully well. Now, we take the next step, which is, okay, I know what I can do to help a person. I can help a person budget. So who needs that, right? And where do I find them? So one of the things you do is you go to Facebook, because you can find anyone on Facebook.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about buying Facebook ads. We're talking about finding a person. In marketing, we call it an avatar. In real life, we call it your ideal customer.
Yeah.
Right? Who needs this help? Well, probably somebody who knows how to short sale the stock market and just made $1 trillion doesn't really need to know how to get out of debt. people whose 401ks went down to a 101k, they probably need some help readjusting. So you search that in Facebook, and you can search in Google as well. And here's the fulcrum on which all of this turns. Once you find groups of people who have the need for what you do, you begin to help them for free. That's it. You go into the group or the Facebook, whatever it is, Facebook group usually. You go into the group, you read the questions that are being asked, you help people, you calm their fears, you give them advice, you tell them it's going to be okay, you show them the path out, right? And you do that absolutely free. And by so doing, you build a tribe without ever using the term build a tribe.
Yeah.
You build loyalty because people are helped and you're helping them for free. Now, when the time comes that you're ready to launch a product, what you do is you take 2% of what you know and you put that into what we call a lead magnet. That's a free gift you give to people in exchange for opting into your list.
Yeah.
You offer them this free gift. Now, if you walk into a shopping center and the person in front of you, let's say it's a shopping center that has 2 sets of double doors, right? The person in front of you opens the door and lets it close right in your face. The next person, so you back up a little bit, a person comes along and says, oh, that was rude here. And they open the door, and then they go in front of you and they open the second door. Now, 10 minutes later, you're in the shopping center and you see person 1. What's your reaction? You see person 2. You see person 2. What's your reaction? My friend, right? You opened the door for me. This is the strategy. You open the door for people. And when they're ready to go through it, they'll buy your product. And if it's good, they'll buy them over and over again. So I didn't mean to go on so long, but that's
brilliant.
That was perfect because I actually I wrote some notes down here, and I think that the common element is that you wrote about, which is sharing is key, and you share without expectation of any reward. First of all, having an abundance mindset is something that's really important. It's very scary for new people starting in business to understand that because they're in business to make money, and that's their focus when they come into business, because we find this all the time, as I'm sure you do with our coaching students. But you have to balance that with the value side of what you do. And now, of course, you're not going to give away everything, like you say, for free. Because we'd have no businesses if we do, but we give away enough value, we stay positive, we become the person that people want to know and work with down the line. But you have to sow those seeds from day one. And like you, we've been sowing those seeds for 10 odd years now, and we're now at last starting to see that the demographic or the kind of people that we talk to who are like 50 plus generally, they now have the biggest problem they've probably ever had in their life. They had a problem before this terrible pandemic, but now they have an even bigger one because, long story short, the recession that follows this will be, well, the IMF are already saying it's going to be much worse than the deepest depression that we've had around the world, and our money just isn't going to go for the time that we expect to have it to complete our lives on this planet. And we need to do something, that's for sure.
You just have to find another way of generating an income that, to be honest, you control. You're not reliant on your government or your state or your employer or whoever it is you're reliant on. You're not reliant on other people for your own income. And, you know, to be honest, I mean, it was Robert Laura who wrote something called, he's an author, and he wrote something called The Naked Retirement. And he said that he thought that the thought of starting a business for retirement income in the 21st century was going to become an acceptable trend and concept that everybody was going to embrace. And I think it's absolutely true. I mean, I guess, you know, if you're like you and like us, I don't think I'll ever retire as such, because we love what we do.
That's right.
And it's not really work, you know. People would see that. I mean, you know, we're sitting here on Facebook and on Zoom in our different offices across the world having a conversation about starting a business and marketing businesses online. And it would never have been possible that long ago. But this to us is not work. Although
we do work.
Although it is work. You know, it's part of our business because it's part of our brands, going out and helping people and giving people value, particularly in this not very nice time in the world. But, you know, we love doing this stuff. And, you know, teaching and training, I mean, Susan said, I mean, back sort of 10 years ago when we packed up our accountancy business, the last thing that we thought we would ever get into would be teaching and training. But we're absolutely passionate about it. We love it.
It's just one of those really weird things. And I actually remember when we first met you, you wrote something and you said, I'm never going to go on camera. I don't do webinars where I'm seen. You do webinars with PowerPoint and they're very good. But seeing somebody like makes all the difference, don't you think?
It does. It does. This is it's interesting because I've lived a public life all my life. I've only ever been in outside sales. I've never had a salary job where they paid me to show up. I've only ever been either on straight commission or self-employed. So that means going out and contacting people and persuading them to buy something from you. And yet I'm actually shy. I know. This is an effort for me. That's why I occasionally turn red. It's just how I'm wired. But I want to serve the most people I can before I go from this world to the next. And this is what it takes. And so I'm happy to do it as well as I possibly can. I want to rewind 30 seconds to something you said. You never imagined when you closed your consultancy and you started teaching, that's what you'd be doing. I've worked with many, many people over the years. I say this not at all to flatter you, and you don't know I'm going to say it, but truly, you've got the gift of teaching. Both of you absolutely have the God-given gift of teaching. You do it very, very well. You make things straightforward and simple. And I know it's inevitable. It's going to sound to people who are watching like, well, they put me up to this, or like I'm trying to return a compliment, but it's not that at all. It's really true. The reason I follow your material is because you're good at what you do.
Thank you very much.
But we learn from you. You know, this is one of the things I said right at the very beginning. And likewise, I'm not saying it to, to flatter you either. It is common sense stuff that anybody can do if they just find the right people to do it. We don't try and pretend any more than you do that we're trying to reach a market of super advanced entrepreneurs who are looking for the latest way to create some app or some bot or to hack into some super duper marketing technique for 5 minutes, because that's just not who we are. We believe that if you keep it really simple and you teach basic skills to somebody, they have everything they need to take their business to the next level, and they can then invest in coaching, they can invest in mentorship, they can find new programs that will teach them other things. But like we were saying to a lady early on this morning who was struggling with building a website, if you don't get the basics right, then you just can't do that. And that's what we're passionate about, is putting the pieces of the jigsaw together like you do, and then showing people little ideas that they can do this or they can do that will actually is not something they have to have great skill to do, but might be, for example, I mean, you're a great advocate, as of we, of PLR products, and it's content written and created by somebody else in a market or a niche or a topic that is popular and that you can use and buy the license to use. And all you've got to do is actually put your feelings into the front of it throughout and at the end to show why you think this is a good thing. There are millions of those products out there, as you know, Charlie. We've done your training on it. If you access them, you could actually start a business and start earning some money right away by using a product like that.
Exactly.
What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. That's unquestionably the fastest way to go. In fact, I'll rewind back to our Facebook example. If you have expertise and you can spot the real thing from the fake and you don't have time, then your best avenue is PLR. You get PLR, which stands for Private Label Rights Products. Again, just for everybody listening, that's a product that you buy. And when you buy it, and it's inexpensive, we're not talking $15,000. We're talking many, many times well under $20 or even under $100 for an entire package.
Yeah.
You take that content, you see that it's good, you modify it, you personalize it, really is what you do. You personalize it so that your name is on it, so that your ideas are in there. If you see something you disagree with, take it out. You see something it didn't include, put it in. Mm-hmm. But with just a little bit of work and a little bit of modification, now you've got an entire product that you can sell. Mm. And again, comparing now to 20 years ago when I started, we had to get a merchant account back then to sell anything online. There wasn't PayPal. There wasn't Stripe. There weren't these other things. So the amount of time for development has shrunk down to where literally in 48 hours you can go from idea to product, especially if you use PLR. And all of those people you've been helping, you just make them the offer. It's not like you're kicking in their front door or doing anything inappropriate. You really believe it can help them, and you have an obligation to offer it to them. That's how I've always looked at selling all of my life. If I really believe in my product, then I have an obligation to share that product with as many people as I can. And if I don't believe in my product, I need to find another product, which I have done over my life. I've had times when I worked for companies and was doing well, and the product line changed or something changed about the support, and I would change, because you've got to believe in your heart about what you're doing.
And that was exactly the same that happened to us relatively early on in our online entrepreneurship journey, I guess, because, we started out with a product which was education product, and it was lots of products, lots of little products on how to do Facebook, YouTube, all the different types of advertising you can think about.
Like a marketplace.
Was in there.
Stuff.
And it was great. And we picked the things that we wanted to do. But then slowly over time, what happened was, Facebook changed, YouTube changed, the principles, blogs came along, so it was no longer article writing, all these sorts of things. And the product just didn't keep up to date. Mm-hmm. And therefore, it would have been impossible to have kept it up to date, to be honest. It was such a huge place. Mm. But, then we started to think, well, we don't feel comfortable selling this because we know it's out of date if somebody buys it today. Mm-hmm. Or you have to, like you have to change tack, pivot, or whatever they call it today, and find a new range of products that you can promote. And, you can promote them from your heart, because that's important.
And I think, as affiliate marketers, which is what we came into this world as, not even knowing that's what we were doing right at the very beginning, if we hold our hands up and be totally honest. But it is an amazing business to be in, and really and truly, absolutely anyone can do it with the right training and finding the right people to help them progress their journey. I know you've been doing it for a very, very long time. We've been doing it for 10 years. We adopted a training called attraction marketing right from the very day we started our business. It's what our mentor Stuart Ross taught us. We've used that throughout our 10 years. We will continue to use it, and we're now working with a new arm of our business where we teach network marketers how to use attraction marketing principles, because we truly believe that actually network marketing as a business is going to become hugely popular as a result of this pandemic. More and more people are looking at ways to make money. They might be using already some products in their own network marketing business, or being sold some products by a friend, and they're going to be going, I could do that, but how do I do it?
It's just a different type of affiliate marketing. You're selling other people's products.
Yeah, just the
That's
same.
exactly right. It's very passion based though, and that solves a big problem right up front, because every day, just about, certainly every week, I have people who say to me, I don't know what to sell. I want to sell things online. I want to make money online, but I don't know what to promote. And so I'll say to them, what do you use? Right? Which autoresponder do you use? What web hosting company do you use? What tools do you use? Start there. And sometimes it turns out they're going, I'm not very happy with my web hosting company. So in that case, don't do that so much. But you're right. Network marketing comes from a place of passion. It comes definitely from a place where attraction is a powerful element. And the other thing, and this is something I'm glad that came up, because the other thing that model provides is passive income. Yeah. And perhaps the great miracle of the 21st century in online marketing is passive income. The thought that you can do the work once and profit from it many times, which is kind of one of my taglines. I write that a lot, and I say it a lot because it really is new. I mean, if we rewind back, and I know we're sounding like old folks when I sound like old folks when I say let's rewind back to when rocks were soft, and dinosaurs roamed the earth. Yeah. But if you go back even 30 years or 20 years, what business could you own where you could get revenue from it every day without going to work every day? Well, you could own a franchise. You could have a lot of employees, which means overhead, liability, insurance, many, many, many things, right? So when network marketing entered the scene, and when internet marketing entered the scene, and that is a really happy marriage between those two, then that's what became possible, is literally that situation by which you can work very hard in the beginning and build. And then that thing that you build, it keeps growing and growing and growing. And that's the thing, is it doesn't just keep going, because keeping going is one thing, but keeping growing is another. And as you meet people who are passionate like you are about what it is that you're promoting, their passion will transfer to other people. It will attract other people. It will transfer to them. And hence, everybody's income grows, right? All three people win. You win, the person that you've sponsored wins, the person that they get involved into the business wins. So that's
we truly believe that. We've decided right at the beginning of this year, before any of this happened, that we're going to continue building our coaching and mentoring business in the affiliate marketing training arena, but we want to build more passive or residual income into our lives, into our business, so that we can do more things. We can support more causes and charities. We've got my mum to look after now because she has dementia, and there are a lot of changes that come about in your life where you have to sort of make decisions, and we decided this year was going to be the time that we were really going to invest in our education to learn more and become excellent, if you like, in attraction marketing as a method that we could then teach and make it really simple for people. And we were going to build our network marketing business that we've just not had time to for now.
We've only had it 6 years.
Yeah, only 6 years.
But we love it.
But we absolutely love it. You know, we have the product, we use the product, but we've not built as a business. So, you know, I think we've got lots of little legs to our business, just as you have. And I think it's making sure that we find the right people and give them the right leg of the business that they need to create their own success. So, yeah, thank you.
Well, you have 6 years of history in what path they're going to take. And all that really does is better informs your ability to serve them. So it's a beautiful thing that you've got that much time in it, because it's not like, oh, I discovered this 30 days ago. I'm so excited. There is
That's true.
There's a disingenuous nature to that. You know, I got this brochure in the mail. You've got to invest $5,000. No, 6 years of history. That's wonderful. You got stories to tell.
We do. And since it's in travel, we've got, we love our travel. And I think when the world opens up after all this, what's everybody going to want? They're going to want some kind of travel, vacation, experience, memories. So we're really looking forward to that. That's something that's a passion project for us.
Oh, good.
So, do you have any passion project that you've got on your agenda for this year?
I do. As a matter of fact, I turned the corner in about a year ago in how I teach things, and what I realized was, I don't know how I can exactly articulate this. Here's what I realized. I'm in the last third of my journey. I don't intend to ever retire. Well, I'll retire when there's no one left to serve. This is the way that I live. I've lived this way for a very long time. I have no desire to retire. If I want to take a week, a month, 6 months off, I can do that. That's not a problem. But I love what I do. And so for me, it's not work. I wake up every single day, and this is the God's honest truth. I wake up every single day with new ideas for products, for angles, for things to say to people, for ways to help people. So what I've decided that is on the last third of my journey, what I want to do is really systematize everything that I know and put it into specific teachings. Mm-hmm. So you've been with me long enough to know that group coaching wasn't a thing I was doing all of my life or for the last 10 years, but it's something I've been doing for the last 18 months or so. So I'm doing group coachings now that are short teachings on very specific things. And they're foundational things, because what I find is that people ignore, they want to skip the steps, and you can't skip the steps. You know, you really, I had an unfortunate experience when I was a child in this respect. The person who taught me how to swim literally threw me in a lake and said, swim or drown. And that was not fun, but I learned how to swim. Nobody needs to learn anything in life that way. You know what I'm saying? We need a guide. We need a helpful resource, not a I'm going to throw you in this lake and see what happens resource. So that's my objective, is to be that resource, is to be the resource that shows people one step at a time, right? And the old saying, inch by inch, it's a cinch. Yeah. And that's really my passion right now, is to codify and systematize everything that I know how to do. And I'll tell you how this came about. This is an interesting story. I won't take long with it.
That's all right.
I had a client one time who called me on the phone in tears. Bless her heart. So sweet. She had spent 8 hours trying to create a form in her autoresponder. Exactly. And she was so frustrated because the more she tried, the worse the confusion got. The worse the shame and the blame inside her head got, right? You know, I should be able to do this. I'm a college graduate. I don't know why I can't do this. I literally did it while we're on the phone. I said, okay, hold on. Let's do this together. And I did it 12 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, right? You know how to do an autoresponder form.
Yeah.
She was so grateful. And I appreciate the gratitude. I really do. But it's not so much the gratitude toward me. It's that I have a responsibility to take these skills that I've, through trial and error. I mean, I learned how to write HTML in a text editor from scratch. I literally got a book and learned how to go bracket, HTML, bracket. I've, over the years, God's given me a real ability to learn things and do them. And my obligation with that gift is to pass it on. So I went too long, but that's what I'm trying to do right now.
I love it. I love it.
Rather than learn the bleeding edge, cutting edge techniques, which, I certainly am involved in those. I learn everything new that comes along. My goal is to create a system that people can follow step by step. And if they do the work, they get the result. That's really my goal right now, my mission.
That's it. And I think that really fits with, the sort of, 50 plus demographic.
Yeah.
Because it's going to, there are so many of us who come into a new environment. Yes, if you're in business or you've been accountants or whatever you've done, working in a corporate environment, you've come across computers and the internet and all that. So you've got some basics. But then when you start to think, I'm going to start a business online, all of a sudden, all the common sense goes straight out the window. You don't think you know anything.
It's true.
And all of a sudden, I just don't know what to do. And you're sort of flapping around, and you need somebody to sort of take you by the hand. Just like we got taken by the hand, we went and found him. I mean, he was 27 years old when we started.
That was a mindset shift.
And that was a big mindset shift. We had kids older than him.
Yep.
But it's taking somebody else's experience, because it's not just about knowledge. It's about their experience, because, you said you can set up an autoresponder very quickly. So can we. It's not difficult.
Right.
But if you just go and buy that, let's say you go and buy that autoresponder and you sign in. I mean, I did it this morning, actually. I was trying to find a way I wanted a piece of software that I could link up and take control of Susan's mum's computer.
Mm-hmm.
Because quite often she has very simple problems that she can't resolve, and it's very difficult for me to explain over the phone, but it would be very easy to fix it in front of her.
Mm-hmm.
And so I bought this product and I thought, well, okay, now what do I do? And it's not sort of, it's not that I'm not technically capable.
It's very technically
but it was sort of, there's nothing here that actually says to me, what do I do? What I have to do next? So I got onto support and I just got onto live chat and I said, right, I've just bought this product. This is what I'm trying to do. What do I do? How does it work? And he sent me 2 links. He said, well, this is how you download it and this is how you configure it. I said, thank you very much. You've solved my problem.
Yeah.
But had I not been able to talk to him, I'd had to do it by email or go and find videos or all this sorts of stuff. I'd have been playing at it for hours.
That's right. That's right. And this is, as product owners, as information marketers, this is, I think, our obligation is to make it as clear as possible. There's always a tendency in information marketing folk to think, if I tell them like they're 6 years old, I'm going to offend them. The truth is you won't. The truth is you will help them. Because I received an email, one of my products is called Common Sense Blog Blueprint.
Yes, love it.
Blueprint, yeah. What we do is we build and host your blog and we teach you how to run it. We teach you how to run it profitably. We don't do the posting, you do the posting, but we teach you everything you need to know. She bought Blog Blueprint, very well-meaning, wonderful woman. She's bought other things from us. She has no idea what the first step is. And I immediately made a note in my notebook, explain first step more clearly, because I've been doing this a long time, but I'm like everybody else. Sometimes I fail to communicate clearly. And the more these products, our products, and all of our communication, when we help people for free, when we sell them products, the clearer it is, the better.
I think you're absolutely right. And just to conclude on that topic, because we were talking to a student this morning, and she got herself in a right flap over, having to build this website, which was part of a program, that she's a part of. And she was skipping the steps. Mm-hmm. She'd gone to this one step, which says build a website, but she hadn't done step 1, 2, and 3 properly, which would have brought her nicely into 4 and building the website. And no criticism to her whatsoever, but what you've just said and what Chris said is absolutely right. Even though we lay things out in modules, this wasn't our training, it was somebody else's. Even when we put things in modules, we do have to be very specific. Do this first and do not proceed beyond that until you've done it.
That's right. That's right.
It sounds stupid, but it actually, we do need that. Yeah, because we've never done it before. It's outside of our sphere of knowledge and we're learning from somebody else.
But we're all guilty of it, aren't we? Because we want the result.
I did it at the weekend.
We go, where's the end? I wonder if it's going to give me what I want at the end. Let's go to the end and get the answer. Right.
I'm learning a brand new autoresponder service that we wanted to be able to develop further, the sequence that people move in when they take a certain action. So a what if and do this, which we can't do in our current.
It's on my board behind me.
Yeah. Well, of course, I'm as frustrated as heck because I know our existing autoresponder inside out and back to front. And here I am faced with something new that is structured entirely differently, with different words for the same thing. Mm-hmm. It's all back to front to what I know. And thank goodness I got long hair because I would have torn it all out. But I had to go to the training. I was trying to skip the training. That's what we're getting to here. Yeah. I thought, it'll be fine. I can just work my way through this. But it's different, and I did need to do the training.
And now we've got to a point where when somebody signs up, they get 2 first emails. So we've got to solve that one next.
So that's my next challenge. I was trying to do that before we came on this call, but I will get there. But Charlie, thank you so much for joining us today. Can you please let everyone know your home online, where they can find you, where they can read your blogs, and pick up some amazing tips and strategies, please?
Everything for me centers around charliepage.com, and I spell Charlie with an I-E, Charlie, and my last name is Page like a book. So charliepage.com. That's the portal for everything I do. And we give away tremendous amounts of free information, not only in the respective blogs and things like that, but that's where everything starts.
Thank you. And I know it's our number one resource. We come there, we want to find out how to do something, or we'll buy some training that we need. And, it's something that we highly recommend. And we really appreciate what you do for the community at large in training. And I think you're a prime example of somebody who's very special in this world doing what you do. So thank you so much for joining us today. We'll pick up any questions afterwards because I am not very good at multitasking what goes on Facebook at the same time. And perhaps we might be able to have you back again for a further session and share some more information with our tribe.
Absolutely. Thank you for inviting me. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm available for you anytime. Thank you so much. And thank you for the work you're doing. You're helping people, and it's a tremendous blessing.
Thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This is Living the Retirement Lifestyle webcast and podcast with Chris and Susan Beesley. And our special guest today is Charlie Page. Thank you.